Hi, I'm Chris Diamantides, and I'm the wig and makeup designer for the Florida Grand Opera. Today we're going to be working on a hairstyle from the mid-1700s, also known as the 18th century, sort of a Marie Antoinette hairstyle. So to start off with, I'm going to talk about some of the supplies you would need to do the job. First off, this is a head, a canvas head. You can get them in a variety of sizes. Not quite as easy to come by as like styrofoam heads, but they're easier to work with than a styrofoam head because the styrofoam head will break down, and this is a lot more reusable. One of the other things you're gonna need is a wig clamp. Now this is a really expensive wig clamp I get from Germany, and here's another similar wig clamp. This one just has a little wood top here, and then the most cheap and common wig clamp you can find is this little plastic bit. You can get these anywhere like Sally's Beauty Supply or anything like that, and just cranks up and you put it on like the surface like so and tighten it just like a C-clamp would do. And then so while you're styling the wig, you put your head on the clamp so you have something to adjust and move however you need it to do while you're styling the wig. Now a couple other supplies you need are combs. I like to use these rat tail combs. They're pretty cheap. Also you can get them at Sally's, or it's more of a wide tooth comb. Has a variety of, it goes from a wider spacing between the teeth to a smaller spacing between the teeth, and a paddle brush. This is great for combing out your wigs. And we're gonna need hair nets. I like these hair nets right here. It's the weave is a little bit closer. Some of the hair nets you buy have a little bit more of a bigger weave, and the hair is more likely to come through. And this has a little more elasticity to it. So also something you can find at Sally's Beauty Supply. On styling hair, when we need to make something a little bit bigger, a lot of times people will tease the hair, which can actually kind of make it harder to get a nice wave. And so what we've done is we go and we find these big Kinkelin hair braids like this, and you can get them in a variety of different hair colors. And we open up the braid and we take it apart, and then we wrap it in a hairnet. And then we make little, we call them poofs, and we use them we make them in a variety of sizes, and we use them to create the shape or the size of the hairstyle. So to start off with, I'm going to also show a variety of different wigs. So this is a human hair hard front wig. It's called a hard front because of this hard line in the front of it. And this is actually a synthetic lace front wig. The synthetic wigs are probably your cheapest option when going to a wig store. They are a little bit more, I think, difficult to work with because of the issues you would have styling them. You have to figure out a way to bend the hair without frying the hair, which if you have a curling iron at too high of a temperature, or most curling irons, it's probably best not to use a curling iron. We usually style our wigs with synthetic wigs by using some steam, and I'm going to show that later. And then this is a fully hand-tied wig. This is really fine lace, and this is the most expensive option you could possibly choose. One other thing, a lot of the store-bought wigs have these bits of hair. They're called tracks or wefts, and the hair has basically been folded and sewn together, and then these tracks or wefts are then sewn in layers. So when you're styling a wig, especially an updo that has these wefts, it's problematic because the wefts are facing down. So when you pull the hair up, you expose all the tracks. So part of the job of styling a wig is to know how to effectively hide those holes and still make a beautiful hairstyle at the end. You can also buy hair on tracks that are in the same color scheme of the wig, and you can use that for additional hair to add to if you need to bulk up your wig. Okay. So we're going to take the hard front wig, and I'm going to put it on the canvas head. And to start off, I want to make sure that the wig is centered on the head, so I'm going to check it out in the mirror. It's always good to have a mirror so you can check your proportions and your placement of your hairstyle. If your wig is crooked on the head and you style it to not be crooked, then by the time you put on the person, if you put on the person straight, the style might end up being crooked in a way you didn't intend it to be. So you want to make sure the head is always put onto, and you can adjust it by grabbing the little tabs here, little corners of sort of like near the temple of the wig here, and just grab them with your thumb and your forefinger, and you can kind of adjust it like this, get into place, and you want to pull down the back nape here. And then to block it for a hard front wig, we're going to just take some T-pins and put one center front, and then one pulling this tableau further forward, right into the corner right there. I'm going to take, there's kind of two little same sort of like things, edges or corners to the back of the wig here. This is where this wig has elastic in the back of it, which is useful for helping it fit onto various size heads. But you want to pull it down pretty far, and when you're pinning it in, you want to put it in the bottom lowest left and right corner you can. The idea is that the whole wig will feel snug on the head, and at that point you're ready to start setting. In this particular demonstration, we're going to use the poofs to create the height for the hairstyle of the Marianne hairstyle. But in other circumstances, if you want an even larger hairstyle, you can use cages. And I have a couple of examples of cages that we've made in the past. This is for a very tall wig, and what we did was we used some like wire caging that you can get at like any hardware store. You can get like screening, and you can just kind of sew it and manipulate it into the shape, and then we've stuffed it with like pillow stuffing and actually pinned some of that pillow stuffing around it, and we've sprayed it to match the hair color of the wig that we're going to be put over it. This is a large one. This is the smaller option right here, and then we've prepped it with, this is a synthetic material called horsehair. It's a little weave, and we've sewn that to that so we can just pin that to the top of the hairstyle. So I don't know if you can see this, but there's steam coming out of the steamer right now. And I'm going to take the steamer, and I'm going to take this, and I'm going to place it on every one of these rollers for about 10 seconds each. And you can actually see the hair bend from the heat. You can watch it kind of like shrink and shape itself around the contours of the rollers. Oh, also, the rollers you can actually find at a local beauty supply, and so you just 10 seconds for each roller. And a lot of times with these synthetic hair, the hair is straight, so it wants to stick out, so you can kind of pull that hair around the rollers as you're steaming it. So I've set this in what we like to call a brick set, and a brick set is basically kind of like laying bricks. All the rollers are sort of like staggered, so at every seam, every break in the rollers, there's another roller. So that what that does is effectively create an S wave, and it eliminates strange breaks in the hairstyle once it's done being set. And these rollers, I'm going to just take one out right here. So this is a roller. And these usually come actually with these little pipe cleaners in the side, and we don't really love the pipe cleaners. They get catch on the hair, so we tend to just use them as this. We push the pipe cleaners right out, and we like these because they are porous. You want the hair to dry, so the more airflow you get through the roller, the more quickly and efficiently the hair will dry all the way through your set. So we also use these things called rolling papers. And this little box makes it really convenient, although you can just get them in little cardboard boxes, but it just pulls it out really nicely, like a little bit of tissue paper. And you take like a water bottle, and this just kind of helps keep the hair together while you're setting it. And you comb the hair up, wrap you can do a couple of ways. You can wrap your hair, your rolling paper like this, or you can lay it flat against your hair like this. And you want to kind of just keep all the hair that you're trying to set in there, and the more you likely get this, you don't want the end to get bent funny. You want to have a perfect set all the way down. So, And then we use these little T-pins, literally the shape of a T. And I like these ones. Some of them actually come with a little space between them, and these ones are better because sometimes the hair can get stuck in them, and it's less likely to do that. And you want to, when you put your pin in, you want to make sure your T-pin is going the same direction as the grain of the hair. Otherwise, if your hair is, if the pin is too tight and it's perpendicular to the grain of the hair, you can get a little indent on the hair right there. So we do that to the whole wig, and then we would steam the whole wig. The great thing about human hair wigs is you can set it, and it can dry overnight, and it'll take its shape. It'll take the set that you've set for it. So the front half of the top of the wig I sent going back, and the back half of the wig I sent going up towards the front. And now I've taken out all the rollers, and I'm just sort of kind of brushing the hair out a little bit with this big, really big tooth comb. And that use this sort of big tooth comb so you don't brush out too much of the wave. This is basically an S wave right here. So that's what you're shooting for. It's the whole reason you're setting the wig. Not only that, but you're also usually setting it to get some bend or some height. So I'm going to use these bobby pins, like so. I want this to be close to the front of the wig, but not so close that I can see it. So I'm just going to have it, I'm going to try to get it centered as much as possible. And then I'm going to go around the whole thing, pinning it down so it's nice and firm into the foundation of the wig. So I've achieved a pretty good basic shape. The shape is important, but the silhouette for the Marie Antoinette sort of 18th century time period is slightly off the head, coming up largely, and then it's coming back down, and there's usually some sort of asymmetrical rolls and some little like dangly rolls or doodles hanging down off the back of it. And so we're going to start off with taking up this the back part of the hair here, and I'm just going to comb through that with this big tooth comb right here. And it's best to work in sections because you want to be able to cover up the places that you've missed. So I'm going to start by pulling up this outside area right here. Just going to kind of lay it up here. And you don't want to just pull it too tightly, because if you pull it too tightly, once again you'll lose all your texture. So you want to be able to let the hair see what it's going to do and arrange the wave ever just so. And then you're going to take it up here and you're going to spread it out and place it exactly how you want it to. And then you take a couple bobby pins and you're going to lock the hair down. So sometimes you need your hair to have a little more cohesiveness. You don't just want your curl to be kind of random. You want to have it sort of bind together. So at that point you would use a little bit of hairspray, a couple squirts. I like the product Paul Mitchell Freeze and Shine, but it's better to use nice products because it'll be nicer to your hair. So spraying to get the cohesiveness right here. I want these little small hairs to kind of line up. And then I'm going to let it kind of just relax right here. You can see that just kind of, that's what it popped right into it. And you can just lay that down. And you can use that technique all again and again and again and again and again. And it's just how you make hairstyles beautiful. So that's basically how you cover all that. I'm going to go to this one right here. It's a little bit more finished. So for this particular wig, I actually ended up using some of the rolls, some of the set to already make some little fake rolls right here. Just it wasn't an extra piece. It was just a piece of hair that I could use to And this one right here is actually one of the bits of weft that I set and I pinned in here, which is looking nice right here. And then this is a thing that they've done in the back. It's sort of this hairstyle that you see. This is swooping. You can do it to greater or less effect, having it more drop down a bit further depending on how much hair you have there, if you want to add more additional hair to have it hang down further. But this is a great technique to sort of hide your seams, hide your empty spaces. And like I said, asymmetricality is great. So I'm going to do a couple different types of rolls for these doodles here, and I'm going to take this roll off this set right here. And it's almost perfect. It's nice. It's a little frizzy though. So I'm going to take it. I'm going to wrap it around this dowel right here. Pull it up like this. I'll give it a little bit of hairspray. Tame some of those frizzies down. And then you can just slide your roll right off your dowel there. I don't know. Hang down nicely there. So if you take these rollers out, I'm going to try to create a nice little S wave as it hangs here. So I'm going to take some hairspray. I'm going to use some of these metal clips right here. So I'm going to take the hair. I'm going to find that S wave there. I'm going to find the bend, find where it is. I'm going to put a clip right here. I'm going to put a clip right here. And then at the bottom, where I want the roll to be a little heavier there, I'm going to comb it around my finger. And I'm going to give it, actually going to give it a little bit of a tease. I'm going to take the hair and I'm going to hold it loosely at the tip here and use the tiny two combs right there. I'm going to back comb it. This is grabbing the cuticle of the hair. And if I do this right, and then I wrap it around my finger, there we go. Use a rat tail brush here and smooth out the outside there. You don't want to use a comb necessarily in this particular instance because you don't want to dig too deeply. You want to just be affecting the outside layer of the hair and leave the teasing part inside, and then you pull that out and it's just have this nice little, you want to have your S wave just to be a little bit tighter there. You can sort of pin it into place here, sort of, literally pin it into place here to sort of keep that bend exactly how you want it. And I'm going to do the same thing right here. I'm just going to. Now, I was thinking we could use a roll right about here. So I'll take one of these pieces I have set right here. I'm going to use this one right here. It's a little bit longer than I want, so I'm just going to trim it a little bit. Okay. About 4 bobby pins here. I'm going to pin the weft into place. Got it pinned into place. Combing it out. Spritz it for the cohesiveness. Comb it together one more time. Then I'm going to take this skinny little dowel here. I'm going to roll the hair up. Like so. I'm going to slide out the dowel. But now it's kind of gotten a little truncated here, so I'm going to stretch it out. I want to cover that edge of the weft there. Once it's in place, I take 2 bobby pins on this side. I sneak them up inside of the roll. And so that's pretty good. It covers up a little section. So I'm going to take out these pins. These pins, I'm going to use these little T-pins here to sort of smooth out sections and hold areas and sections in place. And I'm going to take these out. And these clips, their clips are great, but you don't want to leave your clips in for too long, because the longer they stay there, they can leave little impressions when the hairspray dries. So you want to take those out. Okay, so now I'm ready to start spraying it, and I'm going to prep the head a little bit because I don't want to get white hairspray all over it. I'm going to pin it onto the canvas head. Now when I'm spraying this, I don't want to just arbitrarily just cover the whole thing in white, because that's really defeats the purpose of using a colored wig at all. So I just want to really pinpoint certain areas, try to be light-handed, and just have little spots of powder. So I'm just going to this works great in blondes. In brunettes, it's tricky because you're changing from such a dark color to such a light color, so you need something to act as a medium, a filler color. So if you're going to do this sort of technique in the areas where you're going to spray it, you would use sort of a blonde or some sort of other warm medium color, in the range somewhere between the dark and the white, so that the white doesn't end up looking gray and ashy up against the. I love on the rolls, just to not cover the whole roll, just to So that works pretty good. I think that's a pretty close to finish. Now you see that this process kind of powdering it afterwards kind of points out all your little loose frizzies. So if you want, you can just kind of go back in with a T-pin and some hairspray and just try to kind of smooth some of those areas down. Just take a little spritz. I'll try to lay that down.